better life.
More presidential contenders are wading into the waters ahead of the 2012 election. So who are the frontrunners? We are back with our political panel, National Press Secretary for the Democratic National Committee, Hari Savugan, and also former Press Secretary to House Republican Whip, Roy Blunt, Amos Snead. Welcome back, gentlemen. All right, Amos, I'll start with you. Very crowded field on the Republican side, although a lot of people are very hemming and hawing about whether they're actually in or out. Thought it was interesting this week that two polls looked really bad for Sarah Palin. I mean, she's been somebody that very polarizing, lover or hater. But she was down in the ABC News, Washington Post poll, and also the Wall Street Journal by pretty significant margins against the president. Any surprise there?
You know, I don't think so. She's selling books and she's an entertainment star now. But it is fun to watch. I think, 2 years is a lifetime in politics. We all know that. 2012 is crowded, but as a Southern boy, I'd love to see Haley Barbour's name on that list or see him throw his hat in the ring. But I don't really know how much Palin's focused on that. I think she knows what to do to stay in the news, and she's doing a good job of that. She
definitely does that. All right, Hari, I thought it was really interesting this week that when we came down to this tax compromise, that people crossed the aisles, they worked with the White House, they got it done. There was a bit of a split within the Republican Party. You had Mitt Romney writing this op-ed in USA Today, saying that it was a huge expenditure of money when we don't have it and we're having to borrow against it. And there seemed to be sort of this Tea Party, super ultra-conservative, fiscal conservative versus those like Senator Thune, who a lot of people think may be in 2012. Going to the floor saying it's easy to criticize from the sidelines, but we have to do this. So a split there possibly on this one issue.
I think that's what you're going to see for the next year or so. I think Republican candidates are going to be positioning themselves against one another, and it's going to be a lot of fun for me to watch. We saw Mitt Romney do it. We saw Tim Pawlenty do it this week. We saw Thune possibly as candidate doing that. And look, I think Republicans are going to have to figure out who they are and what they stand for. I think what we saw coming out of November was a split within the party itself between some of the grassroots Tea Party folks and some of the folks on the Hill. And I think they're still trying to figure out who they are, what their soul is, and I think we're going to see that play itself out politically over the next year with the presidential contenders.
It's going to be here before we know it. All right, Amos, you mentioned Governor Haley Barbour. He's very popular in a lot of circles. Do you think he is the best GOP bet to go head-to-head against the president, or are there others you think could be just as strong?
I mean, it's a crowded field. You hate to pick a horse this early in the race, but these things start early and earlier. Day after the midterm elections, and you've already got whispers who's going to run. It's a fun beltway game we play, but I don't know. I think there's several good candidates out there, and it's going to be a fun election to watch.
A lot of visits to Iowa and New Hampshire, a lot of that going on. Hari, who would you like to see run? Who do you think has the most liability for the GOP?
Listen, I think any candidate that goes up against this president is going to have a very tough time. He's accomplished quite a bit. He's very popular, personally popular as well. Is very charismatic and compelling. And I think regardless of who we run up against, it's going to be great. But for the next year or so, I'm looking forward to watching them try to figure out, and poke at one another before we get to the general.
All right, Amos, he says the president has accomplished a lot. Not all of it, though, is popular. I mean, where do you think the GOP could do best against him going into 2012?
Well, I think if they focus on jobs and really put forth a plan the American people can get behind, they've got a great shot. They've got a message that win. They have ideas that win. On the ideas, Republicans are better. And I think the next 2 years will really highlight that.
All right, quickly, any chance he gets a challenge from within the Democratic Party?
Listen, I think that the numbers across the board amongst his base as well as independents are very good. The only chatter about this is within the Beltway, but outside the Beltway, folks are happy with the job he's done, and for good reason.
All right, gentlemen, we'll leave it there. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you both.
Thanks
for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, it is a coming out celebration you do not want to miss. It's off the cute scale. These darling little lion cubs are making quite a splash here in Washington. We're going to show you more of these cute little guys right after the break.
Let your heart be light.
Politicians always say they'll fix things.
But do they? From cash for clunkers to financial legislation to the health care bill, John examines politicians' top 10 promises and failures on this special edition of Stossel Tonight.
Ever wish vegetables didn't taste so vegetable-y? Well, V8 Beef Fusion Juice gives you a full serving of vegetables plus a full serving of fruit. But it just tastes like fruit. V8, what's your number?
As a manager, my team counts on me to stay focused, so I take One A Day Men's 50+ Advantage. It's the only complete multivitamin with ginkgo to support memory and concentration. Plus, it supports heart health. That's a hit! One A Day Men's.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance?
Does a former drill sergeant make a terrible therapist?
And that's why yellow makes me sad, I think.
That's interesting. You know what makes me sad?
You do! Maybe we should chug on over to Mamby-Pamby land, where maybe we can find some self-confidence for you, you jackwagon!
Tissue? Cry, baby.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
So, even though you really want satellite radio, you haven't gotten it yet because you're okay with regular radio. Really? You're okay with this much radio? Even though there's this much out there? Look, call now and get the best of Sirius XM satellite radio free for 30 days. We're talking commercial-free music got the yin-yang. 24 hours a day, sports and sports talk. Plus, it's the only place you can find Howard Stern. They've got all kinds of comedy channels and a bazillion other shows you can only find here. You want an easy way to get all that? Check this out. It's a Snap Radio. It's the easiest satellite radio ever. Plugs right into your car power outlet. Order yours today for just $49.99 plus shipping and get the first 30 days of your subscription free with no commitments. Call now and listen on your computer and most smartphones too. Even get this exclusive Sirius XM hat if you call right now. Have a look online for complete details. Hey, it's time to finally make the move. Call now.
I can't believe I used to swing over those rocks. Took some foolish risks as a teenager. But I was still taking a foolish risk with my cholesterol. Anyone with high cholesterol may be at increased risk of heart attack. Diet and exercise weren't enough for me. I stopped kidding myself. I've been eating healthier, exercising more, and now I'm also taking Lipitor. If you've been kidding yourself about high cholesterol, stop. Along with diet, Lipitor has been shown to lower bad cholesterol 39 to 60%. Lipitor is FDA approved to reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke in patients who have heart disease or risk factors for heart disease.
Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver problems and women